Usually when I come and I talk, one of the things people ask me is, what's with the theme this year? AGC today for a better industry tomorrow. Actually, I was jotting my thoughts down as to why I'm involved in AGC and when the theme actually came to me. It has to do with, during the course of my career, I've had countless opportunities to observe just what a positive impact that AGC has on our business and on our industry. And more often than not, those benefits were the product of years of work by contractors such as yourself and from AGC staff. It just didn't happen. Clearly, to me, AGC was where people are fighting to improve our industry's future. Last February, the management committee of the board of directors, we created a business plan for 2015-2016. What it did is it outlined critical issues that we saw for our industry and for the association. The plan ended up with 5 what we call critical issues that we're focusing on: advocacy, membership, workforce development, the organization's relevance, as well as non-dues revenue. First of all, advocacy. Our advocacy goals are to be heard at all levels of government and to support a vibrant economy and a productive business climate for all our members. Sounds simple. We have a lot of strategies and tactics built up around advocacy, and they do happen to work very well, so we didn't tinker much with those. Membership. Our goal is to grow this organization. The larger we are, the more that we can do for our members. Workforce development goal is to have a viable, well-trained, safe, motivated, and a career-minded workforce. And we've been doing that through the workforce guidelines that we put together last year, that if you're a community and you're suffering through this, like almost all the communities are, with the lack of workforce, that you know where to start. How can your community change this dynamic? Our organization. Our goal is to continue to improve the relevance to the industry at large, considering the recent recession, our evolution of project delivery methods, and our changing demographics. When we looked at how we are going to evolve the organization, we couldn't find any strategies that we had put in place or tactics that we've been using consistently. So the board this year has been working. The last board meeting we had last week and the one we're going to have in January has been doing that, looking out there. You know, is it membership? Are we being inclusive enough? Who do we represent? All the way to things like, should we be more involved internationally? We're not sure. We're working on it. And then non-dues revenue. We want to increase the amount of non-dues revenue that we receive from sources, of course, obviously other than dues. The more non-dues revenue we can collect, the more services that we can provide to the members.
So let's take a look at the highway bill. The latest extension expires next Friday. The good news is the Senate did pass a bipartisan bill in July. It's a 6-year bill, which we like, but it's only got 3 years worth of funding in it, which sets up a fiscal cliff for us down the road to try to find the additional money to fund the bill through its entire 6-year life. Yesterday, the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee marked up their bill. This was a bipartisan effort, passed unanimously. At first, we thought the bill would come up next week. It may be pushed back the week after. Interestingly enough, it does not have a financing title, which would lend you to believe that what they're likely to do in conference is to accept the Senate financing and revenue options that they have. We're likely to get another short-term extension, probably for 30 days or so that the bill will pass the House, will go to conference with the Senate, and then hopefully we'll have a finished product done by that time. Multi-employer pension reform for union contractors, a significant issue. Last December, we worked with the building trades, got legislation passed that would allow troubled plans to be able to reduce retiree benefits. That was a significant political concession by the building trades, but one that was necessary. One issue that we had to fight at that time was a significant increase in the premiums that contractors, that employers have to pay to the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. We were able to reduce that significantly. The unfinished business is the second part of the bill that we couldn't get done last year, which would allow multi-employer plans to adopt what are called composite plans, which have elements of defined benefit and defined contribution in them. This would over time eliminate contractors and employers' withdrawal liability. Regulatory activity, the biggest issue that we've worked on recently in the regulatory field has been the EPA definition of waters of the United States. Essentially, EPA has significantly expanded that definition, which gives them more authority and enforcement power and more permitting requirements. We spent a lot of time with them at the beginning of this, before the notice of proposed rulemaking came out, trying to get them to understand how difficult this is for the construction and development industry. We made some headroads. They did accept about a dozen proposed changes that we suggested to them, which was good news. We acknowledged that after the process that they did the right thing in those areas, but we haven't given up yet on this. We're involved in a large business coalition trying to get legislation passed that would force EPA to go back to the drawing board.
I kind of gave this my own title. We sort of bomb and rebuild. As all these things come out, you're looking at new bylaws, new dues, new staff structure, new marketing, new delivery, new names for councils. It's just going to continue to grow and be a very vital organization. And we agreed collectively it was time. As a result of that, we created a revised organizational chart that's more customer-centric, service-oriented, and growth-oriented. We have coming before you updated dues and bylaws. Again, this has been a heavy lift in the last 6 months. And finally, we are well on our way to redesigning the website. The website, as we all heard very clearly, tired, needed a lift. And through the leadership of Joe Lish and his technology capabilities and input from his internal innovation team, we're going to have a really sharp, very flexible, always moving website.
Of the 93 chapters within AGC of America, for the past 2 years, AGC of California is the largest chapter. So as we think about that, we've really got to get busy with our membership to keep this moving along. A couple programs I want to mention. The 16 for 12. This year we've brought in 15 new contractor members utilizing that program, as well as 16 associates for a total of 31. That's 11 more than last year. One of the things I'd like to request is that we make this a permanent option moving forward. Each year we asked for a continuance, so with my report I'll be asking for that to be made a permanent program. So you might be sitting out there saying, how can I help? We kicked this around in the membership meeting this morning. What we really want to ask is at the district levels for you to get with your regional managers and really get creative on new potential members.
Next, we had some exciting things happen this last couple of months, and one of those things, we received a $50,000 endowment from our partner at the California Landscape and Irrigation Council. This is set up so we can provide a scholarship year over year for students who are interested in pursuing landscape construction careers, specifically in Southern California. That's both for trades-driven interest and also for our college degree pass. So I wanted to call up a very special board member, Mr. Bob Cowan from Marina Landscape. He was integral in securing that foundation Foundation donation. And one of our other board members, Mr. Mike McCreaney, which it's his last meeting as a board member of the foundation, so we're very sad about that. He wants to present you and Click with a certificate of our appreciation. All right, next up, just quickly, look out for our next edition of Constructor Magazine for November and December. It's all about workforce development with a focus on mentorship, and also we're featuring women in AGC and in the industry with their thoughts on future women in the industry, as well as their thoughts and experience with mentorship in our industry and why it's so important. So definitely take a look at that and read through it. The other thing you've probably heard a bit about at the last couple of state board meetings, we have decided to launch a virtual construction career fair, and that will take place for the first pilot launch on November 10th. And we're using this as a way to recruit into the industry at the level of the generation that we're now trying to recruit, right? They're on their mobile devices all the time. They're looking for things online. We want to make sure that we can reach a broader audience. So this really brings to your companies the ability to recruit on a mass level while sitting in your office. Now we have probably the most exciting thing that we've done all year, and really happy to be able to do this today. But we are announcing our 2015 scholarship recipients. Some of them are in the room and don't know it yet. Well, they know they're in the room, but they don't know they got the scholarship yet. I hope they know they're in the room, or they did way too much of what we told them not to do last night. We started our direct scholarship application process in 2011. That's the first time that a foundation was giving money directly to students versus going through the districts. We do that too, but this was a direct opportunity. We received 40 applications this year. That's double what we normally receive. So that makes it a little bit more painful for us at the foundation, because our scholarship committee definitely wants to reward every single student that's working towards this industry goal, right? But our scholarship committee, they went through these applications, they made a recommendation to our board, which was approved yesterday. Proud to announce the scholarship recipients. Drum roll, please. All right, some of you are in the room. Could you please stand? Dominic Nelson, Cal Baptist University. Brittany Vermillion from CSU Chico. Angelica Figueroa from CSU Sacramento. Jimmy Briers, Chico State. Matthew Hall, Chico State. Jonathan Bustamante, Fullerton. And Justin Kleinsmith from San Jose State University. Jackie Soto from San Jose University would have been here, but she had a family emergency. So there you go. There's some of our best and brightest. And for any of you that applied that did not receive one this time, we do have another opportunity coming up. We'll be working with Mr. President to launch his President's Scholarship, which is a $5,000 scholarship, and an essay competition. So again, it was a really tough process on us, and we appreciate all the applications and the interest.
At the October 7th meeting of the Ledge Committee, which met down in Irvine, we put together the 2016 agenda. And top on that agenda, again this year, and it sounds an awful lot like in Washington, D.C., is our transportation funding. And so I think if I could get Dave to kind of update us on some of what we hope to do between now and the end of the year in preparation for what we have to do next year.
Well, the legislature is in adjournment until January, but the Speaker and the President Pro Tem of the Senate appointed a joint conference committee to work on a transportation funding solution, since the legislature was unable to achieve that during their regular session. The committee has held 2 hearings, the second of which was day before yesterday in Ontario, where I testified on behalf of AGC at the hearing. And the next move is, following these hearings, is to engage many of you in this room in a process of local grassroots lobbying, where we will attempt to convince members of the legislature to vote for a transportation funding package that will include some fees on automobiles, possibly some gas and diesel tax increases, and some other funding mechanisms like that. We're at a logjam right now in the legislature, absolute gridlock impasse on a plan. And so we're switching now to a grassroots effort to involve contractors to talk to their constituent legislators, right at the grassroots level, so they can hear from you about the jobs that are created in their districts and the projects that happens in their districts. We'll have about 15 legislators we're targeting, and we'll match each of you up where you exist in those districts with those legislators between now and the end of the year. So you'll have all that information from us starting next week.
Yeah, and those legislators are home right now, so that's where it gets to be. They don't listen as well in Sacramento as they do when you're in the district and they know you vote for them. And if you could just emphasize, Dave, also, you know, how I thought it was important when you were telling me you know, they like to hide behind no new taxes. And can you just kind of briefly touch on that, because that was important to me?
Yeah, the main effort for us is to get some of the recalcitrant Republicans to see the benefit of voting for a tax and getting something in return for that. Right now, they basically have a no new tax pledge that says no new taxes, no new fees. Just take the revenues out of the current state budget, because there's plenty of money that California spends on other things. Just reprioritize it and spend it on transportation. That's something they can hide behind that will never happen in California. The only way we have gotten more money into transportation is to either vote new bonds, new taxes or fees and the like. AGC headed up the campaign on Proposition 111 back in 1990. Seems like a long time ago. We doubled the gas tax in 1990, and that's provided an extra $2 billion per year from then into the highway program. So it's new revenues that help fund it, and it will be a direct message to most of the Republicans and to protect the Democrats who are a little squishy on those votes as well. So it's going to be a major all-out effort, Randy.
All right, thank you, Dave. It's going to be a busy year. There's a lot of other things, and I could spend well past the closing time going over them item by item. But lease back is certainly a topic that concerns an awful lot of people. Stormwater plans, we did that last year. It was one of the bills that got sidelined due to our battle with the 219. There's cash versus bonds on any DIR prevailing wage claims. The balcony that collapsed in, was it Oakland or Berkeley? Berkeley has got, you know, one of our state legislators deciding he wants all of us to report all our settlement agreements, and I'm not sure if that isn't that final closing change order that you settle with the owner. That's just, it's hard to imagine. There's 3 or 4 others, Dave and Jamie and Paul, and I'm sure there'll be a whole new list as the session gets started in January. But what we can do between now and then is go meet with, again, Dave is gonna, there's targeted people that we need to try to get convinced to get off of this no new tax things. There's good taxes. And I keep thinking that you don't call it taxes, it's investments in our infrastructure.